Oh God, we do this every damn time. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Sigma camera. This is kind of exciting. And let's get Rachel on the horn here, and she'll help us introduce everybody. How's it going, Rachel?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I will be following the chat as usual and taking your questions about the Sigma FP camera with Graham and Brian, who we will meet in a second. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know that yesterday we released a Z-Finder for this camera. The link is in the video description. We'll be talking about the Z-Finder on the show. Obviously, you can get 15% off that Z-Finder at the Zacuto store with the coupon code SIGMA15. That coupon is a forever coupon, so you can purchase it whenever you're ready. All right, let's get started. Let's say hi to Graham first. Hi, Graham. Good morning.
Hey, Graham. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. I'm bummed I didn't get to come in on Donut Day. I see in the wide shot you have some donuts on the table, so this is the day I get relegated to Skype. But otherwise, I'm doing well. Excited to talk about the Sigma FP.
Cool. Well, actually, you don't want to eat those donuts. They were for a casting that we did, how many days ago?
I don't know, maybe half
Last
a week.
week. Yeah, so they're probably, but I'm starting to think that if I leave them, they're going to just turn into great props, when they get hard.
Petrified.
Yes. Okay, Brian, we have a special guest here from Sigma, Brian Linhoff. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about the camera.
Okay, cool. So, when somebody told me your name, and I know we went through this, you were laughing, but, and this is kind of an age thing, but it's like I had a Linhoff camera when I was younger, and that camera right there is a Graflex, but it looks exactly like the Linhoff. And so the Sigma camera's like what, around $2,000-ish?
Yes.
$18.99.
$18.99.
And how much is your camera?
My camera? Oh, 10,000.
10,000. See how
in
it
the days
holds up?
of large format film.
Yeah.
There you go. So do you think that, in 30, 40 years that the Sigma's going to go up to be worth 10,000?
Probably not.
Okay. Let's talk about your camera. Let's put some pictures up of it first. Whoa, look at that. We just got someone who did a walk-on. Love that. Let's get the first picture of the Sigma camera up. There it is. Okay, so I think we can call this a pocket camera. It's actually the pocket camera. So now let's talk about the sensor a little bit here. What kind of sensor do you have in this, Brian?
It's a backside illuminated 24.6 megapixel CMOS sensor. So it's incredibly good in low light, resolves well, it handles shadow detail well. Graham's done a lot of shooting on it. He can probably give a little bit more specifics on how he feels. I'm the tech guy that tells you it's 24 megapixels. Graham's the artist. So.
Okay, Graham, talk to us.
You're an artist too, Brian. But hey, so I mean, yeah, you hit it on some of the points there with the sensor. Great low light performance. Very, very low noise in the blacks, especially. I mean, we were pushing it for video as high as 6400 ISO without a problem. Beyond that, you might want to throw on a little bit noise reduction, but 6400, I mean, that's exceptional. And then, of course, based on this full frame sensor, you're getting, I mean, I don't know if improved is the right word, but certainly very impressive bokeh. Yeah, it's just a great looking camera, and of course the Cinema DNG RAW is just a dream to grade.
Is it the backlight feature of the sensor that's giving it that extra low light capability? And how common is that with sensors these days?
I don't know. That's a Brian.
Okay, Brian, you take it.
Yeah, so backside illuminated has become more and more prevalent. It allows you to get more light to the pixels. It's when like say compared to like a Sony A7, or you'll have like phase detection pixels on the sensor also. So this is a totally contrast-based sensor. So every bit of light is hitting the pixels, so you're not really losing any light there. So in my opinion, it just gives it that extra little oomph just to hit it a little bit better in that low light feeling and look.
Let's go back to the picture that we just had up. So let's talk about the lens mount here. We're going to move all around the camera and talk about the camera.
Yeah, so this is an L mount. It's the mount shared by us, Panasonic, and Leica. We announced the L mount alliance, I think it was last year. I don't exactly remember the date, but the the mount is it's a mirrorless design. It's a very short flange back distance, so in theory you can adapt nearly any lens that's been made in the last 50 years. So it provides great versatility to throw a PL mount on there, an EF mount, throw your favorite lens on there, or you could use one of the 30 plus lenses that are available for the mount already, and just go ahead and mount them directly on the L mount and go to town.
And you offer different adapters, don't you? I saw PL, right, as well as some others. You want to go through those?
EF.
Yeah, we do offer an EF adapter called the MC21. It's this little guy right here.
Right.
Runs about $250. If your lens has autofocus will work on it. From there, we just announced what's called the MC31. That's a PL adapter. The adapter's very well made. Allows you to use RE shims if you need to shim your lens. There's a lot of little things built into it to address the needs of a cinematographer.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. Let's move around the camera a little bit now and talk about some of the other features of it. Okay, so here's the back. Obviously, you got your modes. Let's talk about the color here.
Yeah.
So,
Brian, I guess do you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, you want to take a figure?
Yeah, I'll take a swing. So this is really unique to this camera. You have the tone button as well as the color button, and for me, this is very useful in sort of quick turnaround projects where you need to make color decisions in the field. That say event coverage, things of that you need to just publish very quickly that day. Of course, good for other stuff too. For me, I'm sticking with RAW, and then I'm doing most of my grading in post, or rather my team is with something like DaVinci Resolve. But that's a pretty neat thing to have those buttons readily accessible on the exterior of the camera body.
So it's more for a baked-in image.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's go back to the image. All right, so obviously that's your playback image. What's the image just to the right of SD? Is that a aspect ratio? What is that?
So that actually will change the view of the back of the camera, what you're displaying. You can cycle through different views, like you want a completely empty screen on the back, or you can cycle through and show time code or waveform, or what's pretty cool, there's 4 different views, and you can actually go through and customize what those 4 views are exactly look like. So you can make those look and provide the information you need.
Okay, cool. Now, here's my little pet peeve with a lot of cameras. Is the rotational wheel there assignable?
Currently, it is not assignable.
Oh, please make that assignable.
It's been listed in my notes many a time.
I mean, it's really nice to be able to have it be ISO, f-stop, whatever. Now, I don't know how the lenses are, if they're electronic or you're using manual lenses.
There's a wheel on top, though, too. Is that one assignable?
So currently the wheels, you can switch between the way iris and shutter speed work to those dials. You can switch which does which, but that's the only assignability to them. It's the probably top 5 requested feature.
Yeah, definitely.
Japan is listening. They've already released one firmware. They've already added stuff to the firmware coming up in December that wasn't out there. So they're taking a proactive approach to giving the users the experience they want on this camera.
Great. That's good to hear. All right, let's go back to the image. Good. Now we're on the bottom here. I like this about the camera. So obviously you have a 1/4-20 on the bottom. Let's flip to the side now. Boom. So Jens, let's talk about what you did with that 1/4-20 on the side.
Yeah, what's nice finally is that people are putting in more hard mounting points in these cameras. Like this is perfect. You got 2 1/4-20s on the side and then one on the bottom. So with those 3 points, now when I develop a cage, it can be really rock solid.
Well, let's take a look at it. Show us what you did here.
Let's see if you can see it in this close up. All right, so right now this is just a printed prototype cage. And I have it in the configuration that you might use if it's like a director's viewfinder. That's one of the features you guys offer.
So wait, so this plastic version's like what, $30 if somebody wants it?
The plastic version, sure. Of course, we wanted to include our Z-Finder that's been out for a long time. And
12 years or more.
Yeah, something like that. And then some of the other features that I like is our hand strap, so that you can, you know, not have to grip it so hard when you use it in this mode.
Well, and you built a little grip into that, didn't you?
Yeah, because the camera's so small and, you know, diminutive that for the cage, we added a little grip so that you could actually hold it a little bit better. You know, you might not want that on, of course, if you're flying on a drone. You want to have it as, you know, or on a gimbal, you have it as light as possible.
See, now this is nice because this camera is really small. I mean, it's very cool when you're on a gimbal or, like you said, when you're on a drone. But when you're operating it, you know, it's a little, that handle's kind of necessary to be able to kind of hold the thing.
Yeah, this is like the gorilla mode. You know, this would be like director's viewfinder mode if you use this grip down here.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. That's kind of really cool.
Of course, this flips up because I believe this is a touch screen for focus situations, right?
Yeah, you can do, if you tap the screen, it'll bring up the focus points, and then you can move those around, or you can do it through button pushes, but it's a little bit, touchscreen's the easiest way to do it.
Right. So we wanted to be able to provide a way to flip this up quickly and get to it, you know.
That's cool.
And all that. So this is our upcoming cage for
And you got locks.
Yeah, we have, what we always like to do with our cages is we put in these right angle adapters so that the cables will be going back. So when you use it on your shoulder, if you're using it shoulder mounted, the cables aren't going into your ear. You know what I mean? It keeps it out of the way. So, and it also protects the camera's connections too by having these sort of locked in place.
Yeah.
You know, then you just connect the cable from
Right,
the
and
other
it has
part.
an Arca bottom like all our cages, and it can go on our new, what we're going to call ACT base plate, which is going to be coming out really soon, which is an ACT version of our VCT. Wow, that is a lot of acronyms there. But so the ACT, you just slide that baby right on and it can go on your shoulder. So you can do either shoulder mount, gorilla mount. We have a new Marauder coming out, so you can do, which is similar to this in a way. You can do Marauder shooting, which is going to be wonderful for the director viewfinder.
Right.
So let's segue into that right now.
Well, but the point is that this camera has beautiful mounting points for that, so that you can be really creative and very modular and adaptive to whatever style of shooting you're doing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
well,
the,
I mean,
it's the beauty of this camera, and it's small. It is the true pocket camera.
Yeah, no, exactly.
In
I
this
mean,
case, I know you guys like to hear that.
He's like, yeah. But the cool part about having the quarter 20s, you know, when we're using these eyelets, it's a little harder to get the camera out. And I could see when you want to shoot photos with this, we didn't put that little photo part on here because if you're doing video, you don't need, I mean, am I wrong here? Do you really need that photo section if you're really shooting video?
No, the way the camera's been designed to is with the flip of the switch to quickly and accurate, you know, give you all the menus you need for video. If anybody's dug through like a current camera or mirrorless camera that shoots both, the menus get bogged down pretty quickly. So this makes the camera simple and easy to get to the menus you want, depending on what you're doing. So obviously we're talking about video, so you want to be in Cine all the time pretty much, and you'll be able to hit everything you need. So.
Right. So for the, we can get into this as well now. You're going to have, you have different adapters to put on the side, or at least one right now. That's the hot shoe for flash, correct?
The HU11.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, is that also, are you able to use audio devices on that? You know what I mean?
I mean, you could certainly go 3.5 millimeter cable from, say, for example, like a Rode small shotgun mic. But it seems like you have a cold shoe.
Yeah, no, I
there
meant using the contacts in the top. Are you going to have some sort of audio module that will use the contacts that go directly into the camera from that hot shoe, or is it strictly for flash?
So, as of right now, it's strictly for flash. There's no, like in the Sony shoe, there's like digital contacts. This currently does not. It's just a purely for flash sake. You can mount stuff to it like as a cold shoe, but in general, right now there will be no like XLR adapter to plug into it.
Yeah, I'd put that on the list there. You know, a little further down. But that is something that I really love. I mean, one of the issues with these small cameras, and when I talk to friends of mine who got big cameras, small cameras, they're like, yeah, I kind of use my big camera when I want to do a real shoot, because sometimes if I'm doing an interview, you can't use the mini plug. That is not an audio.
The balanced audio.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. And it's a dangler and all these other issues. So what you end up doing is dual system. Which is fine, but when you're doing an interview, it's a lot of, we're always clapping because we want to get sync.
But also those modules usually have a lot more fine control.
They do. I mean, I got to admit, the ones that I've seen out there, they're like when we used a Betacam, man, you can put this on this side, this on this side. They're awesome. So throw that on the list. And actually what I like even better is don't have it where you have that box. Have the whole side piece have the XLR parts in it and all the jacks and whatnot, because you don't have to have that top box, which really is kind of cumbersome.
That is another cool thing about this camera, is that you have a lot of ways you can go with those contacts if the architecture is in there for different types of modules on the side. Hopefully you won't be putting an EVF on the side.
Yeah, really,
there.
we don't want that.
But that's probably something else you could do.
Yeah, okay, let's move on. So
guys, before we move on, I just want to remind everybody that Graham recently used this camera with some of our gear, both with the Marauder and shoulder mounted, and maybe Graham could talk a little bit about when he uses each different kind of rig for different applications.
Okay, Graham, I want to do that, and I also want, as soon as we get this new Marauder, we have this new Marauder that is crazy cool, super light. I want to get one, Rachel, to Graham first.
And this stuff.
Of course.
And this. So Graham, tell us about how your shooting went.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys are talking about all of these exterior modules and things like that, and I mean, I think the true spirit of the camera is keeping it small and compact for a couple of reasons. So the body's 0.81 pounds. That's without card and battery, and you've done, I think, a great job just visually keeping the form factor of the overall rig small with what I'm able to see from over here. But for me, about 5 or 6 years ago, being a documentary filmmaker, I do scripted as well, but being incognito became incredibly important. Documentary filmmakers like myself, we kept being part of the story, and that really, people would get hurt, things like that. So with the rig, sort of how Jens has it set up there, I mean, I feel like I can be in a crowd, I can be walking around, and I'm not a target depending on whatever it is that I'm filming. So quick shout out to your Polaris base plate right here. This is one of the first base plates I tried with the Sigma FP, and it works great. I mean, the plate is small enough so that you still have battery access, and then you're also able to pull a little piece of rubber out of the side battery compartment and go to external power if you need to. So for the most part, I've been keeping the Sigma FP rig pretty small using the Sigma Viewfinder. Obviously, I'll give the Z Finder a try as well soon, and just keeping a small grip on the side. I'd love to try out your grip. Sigma makes a few different types of grips. So for me, keeping the camera small is really key. Of course, you can do clip-on mat boxes. You can build out a whole 15mm rail system, get wireless video out. It's so modular. It really can be whatever you need it to be. So that's one of the things that's been very impressive. You mentioned the 1/4-20 mounting points on the side. I wish more manufacturers would do that, because that part is very cool. Just put anything you want on there.
Okay.
Great.
Let's talk about this director viewfinder thing for a bit, because it's really cool. And let's pull up the first picture on this. I've never seen quite as much menu control as this. So now here, this is a bit long version for me.
That's not the one that the picture that I was referring to before. There was a different.
All right, so this would be our version, obviously, of a director viewfinder, and it would have like a handle underneath. Like here, you can cut to Jens here, and that looks like a director viewfinder, pretty much.
Now you don't need the cage. There's another option where you don't need the cage to do this.
Yeah.
For ours, you can have a stick-on frame for on the back.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next image and we'll take a peek at that, I think.
But did you want to talk about?
That's what you were talking about right
yes.
there.
But the actual features.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah, okay.
Right here, let's go to the next image. Okay, so here obviously you can pull up, an Arri, Arriflex. Let's go to the next image. Now this is cool. So this shows like every single different, look at, you can do, 4 perf, 3 perf, 16:9, 2:3:9 to 1.
How does that show up on the screen though? I haven't seen that yet. So tell us a little bit about how that works, electronically inside, as well as on the display.
So it's a just a bit of a menu dive. So you go through on the menu, you pick the what camera you want. If you want Sony, Red, Arri, those are the current 3 listed cameras. then you go down and you pick what resolution you're going to be shooting at or how you're shooting at. And then you can go in and determine the way the back screen looks. It's just kind of like a little bit of a menu dive to dig into to get the settings where you want it to be. But everything's pretty simple to go through. Once you start digging through it, you can kind of see it's not very hard. I've demoed it to probably 500 times or more now, so it works very easy and very well.
So are you seeing it actually just crop, or are you seeing frame lines, or how's it displayed?
So it'll actually crop in on the screen. So it's going to if you know, like say this is our regular full frame view. If we're going down a little bit, it'll crop down your actual image you're seeing.
I see. Okay.
So it'll kind of just simulate the angle of view. In December, we're going to push out a firmware update that'll allow you to record that, so that you can take it for scouting, you can grab some stills.
That was my next question.
Yeah. So as of right now, you can't, but the latest time frame is sometime in December. We're going to be pushing a big firmware update, and that would be one of the key features in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really. Oh, go on.
I hope we're adding other cameras also. It'd be nice to see like some of the Panasonic VariCams and such in there too.
I mean, you don't have to worry about this deep dive. You know, if you're a director, you're going to pick the camera and the aspect ratio and the optics that you're using, and off you go. You're going to start, you know.
Your assistant will, and hand it to you.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the proper way to do it. And then off you go. Right. All right, let's roll a couple of these other pictures and just show some of the other uses.
Before we do that, real quick, guys, I just have a quick question here from Darren Roberts, who says, does the camera have a built-in microphone to record a scratch track?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
There you have it. Okay, let's go back to these other uses. Obviously, the beauty of the small camera here is that you can use it on a gimbal. What else do we got? Now, this is a question I have. What are you doing in this scenario?
So earlier, you can hook it up as a webcam. So literally go out the USB-C port to the USB-C or USB-C on your laptop. And it's the most expensive webcam you can buy right now, probably.
Oh, man, I wish you would have done that here, because we've seen people do this with this Black Magic box and use like an FS7 or something, and it looks, when the image comes up on this screen, it looks so good. It's like we dropped it in.
Like
better than broadcast.
Yeah, right.
Literally. So we got to try this. As a matter of fact, we've got the camera. We're going to do a test later today. Obviously, we had another image where we had a drone and all these kinds of uses. It's going to just excel in that sort of thing. Let's talk a little bit about this new firmware update, because a lot of people have, as a matter of fact, I talked to Phil about it even.
Philip Bloom?
Yeah, and he said this firmware update really changed a lot of stuff. Talk to us about what's in that firmware update.
So we had a couple little bugs with the camera when it first came out. There was flickering in your shadows when you were recording to the solid state with the DNG files, pretty much anything. And there was a couple corrupted files at the very beginning of the recording. The firmware was a priority to us. It came out 2 weeks, maybe 3, after we released the camera to fix those issues. From there, we're working on a larger firmware to improve different capabilities. I talked a little bit about it. You know, the director's viewfinder is going to be able to record playback of cinema DNG in camera. Just at Interview this last week. Right now, the camera doesn't have a log profile, which a lot of people want, so that obviously cinema DNG gives you a beautiful file, but it's, let's say the least, be a little memory intensive. Maybe they don't want to have that complicated workflow, so they can shoot and log, preserve some of that dynamic range and color information. And as of right now, it doesn't have it, but we listened, and it's coming in a future firmware update. So there's, if you have an opinion, I can't say they will always be there, but if it's heard well enough, Japan's definitely listening and trying to make improvements to the camera to make it usable as a product that everybody's happy with. So.
Okay, well, I mean, I think one thing we haven't even done yet is let's take a look at the camera. So let's see the picture. Let's roll a clip.
Yep.
Beautiful stuff, man. That's beautiful stuff.
Thank you.
Now, was that shot to the SSD drive using the Cinema DNG, or like, tell us a little bit about how that went?
So Graham, you shot that, right?
I did, Steve. So you saw about 90 seconds or so of footage there that I shot Cinema DNG 12-bit to an external Samsung T5 drive. And I shot that all within about 5 miles or so of where I live, because for me, it's important to tell the story that the Sigma FP is the camera that you take with you, that you leave by the front door, that you bring into the field. Because I spend a lot of time working with camera bodies that take 6 hours to rig or 2 days to rig multiple camera systems and things like that. So for me, it's important to note that the Sigma FP is the camera that you can bring with you all the time, and you're not sacrificing the visuals by having a smaller body like this. So yeah, balloons down the street, beach down the street, that's my dog in there. Yeah.
Nice. So getting back to, everybody's wanting to compare this camera to like Blackmagic, of course. I'm sure you hear this all the time. And one of the concerns with that Phil actually brought up was how it compares with not having the picture profiles and all that, that people would come to expect. So might that be in the next firmware? Anybody?
Hello?
On the spot. As of right now, I don't know of any picture profiles coming. The biggest thing we have coming as far as like to the color science of the camera or the recording ability of the camera would be the new log profile, and then also you'll be able to shoot. I don't know if it'll come in the next firmware update or not, but they're working on shooting like ProRes RAW to say like an Atomos, so you can have different flavors of RAW. So as of right now, I'm sure. The only really way to change your baked-in color would be with the color and tone modes that are built into the camera. But that's going to be a real like baked-in image. You can adjust look and feel of those images, but there isn't like 10 different color profiles to give you a certain look or feel that you're looking for.
And so the highest quality you can record to the internal SD drive is?
Internally, you can shoot 8-bit 420.
Okay.
And on the SSD, what was it?
Oh, it's the Cinema DNG RAW, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can shoot internal 8-bit RAW, and then out to the solid state, you can shoot 8, 10, and 12-bit Cinema DNG RAW.
Wow. The ProRes thing is going to be the killer right there.
Yeah, yep. Exactly.
That's the game changer. We got another clip. Let's take a peek at it.
Yeah, so this is a quick clip we put together to show just how gradable the image out of this camera is. Again, these are pretty strong LUTs that we just threw on here. My post house Blue Line did a lot of work with this, but that just shows, how gradable the image is, and just sort of a quick bit.
Cool. All right, Phil, I know Phil Bloom has a comment here. What is it?
Well, Rachel has a comment from Phil.
Phil is chatting. I am not Philip Bloom. I am his current proxy.
You're not?
He says he would. Hi, Phil. He says he would love a flat profile. Is there any possibility of having a lossless compressed CDNG that we've seen on other cameras? And he said he would love the 12-bit RAW to do one more frame a second. He needs 25p for his work, and it's only 24.
Yeah, it's that British 25 thing.
British.
I swear. They're such a pain in the ass. All right. What's the answer to that?
I have the notebook out, Phil, and I will send a message after this directly to the product planner. So I really don't know. Japan always surprises me. To be honest with you, this is the first camera in a decade that hasn't been wasn't rumored about, shown off. It was a complete surprise to almost everybody that saw it. I love my marketing manager. I can usually get new information out of him with a couple loaded questions, but on this, he wouldn't tell anybody anything. So they've held everything pretty close to the vest on this, so I would hope that those type of things are coming. But currently, to be honest with you, I just don't know. That's what I got.
Okay.
That's good.
Look,
I do have one more
Go on.
question here while we're on me, and I just scroll down. It's from Daniel, who says, is it a full frame sensor? If so, does it only record full frame, or will it crop down to S35?
So within the menus, you can make it auto crop down to Super 35 if you wanted to. But out of the box, it's going to record full frame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've got one. I don't know how long we have this for because I want to take it out and kind of play with it.
Don't have to pry it out of my hands.
Yeah, exactly. It's very cool. It's very small, and the resolution is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank you, Graham and Brian, for being
Thanks,
guests today, and we're going to put it back to Rachel.
Yes, thank you everybody for watching. It was a pleasure. Thank you for your questions. Graham and Brian, it was lovely to see you. A big thank you to ICANN, who provide all the lighting for our show, and to our sponsors, Canon, Rode Mics, and Kessler Crane. We will see everybody in a couple weeks with a new show. Bye.